I've been excited to get this delivery and share it with you guys. What's up guys, how you doing? Welcome to another video. So yeah, my new camera has arrived and I am going to be sharing it with you guys today. It's not even out the box, not opened it at all because I wanted to wait and do that with you guys. We're also going to be doing a Q&A. I asked a load of you guys to find me some questions through Instagram and Twitter. If you didn't see that and you missed out on it, maybe it's because you're not following me on my social media channels. I put the question out there on Instagram, on my Instagram stories, at Rob Sambles Sport. I also put it on my Twitter page, at Rob Sambles Photo. So if you did miss it, maybe you're not following me over there. If you are following me and you missed it, sorry, I don't know how, but don't worry, there'll be future videos like this coming as well. So today, we're going to open this bad boy and we're going to do a Q&A. Let's go. Right, no messing around. My new camera has arrived. And first thing I want to say, thank you so much to all of you guys who commented on my last video. It helped me out so much. Helping me answer questions around which camera should I buy, and the opinions and the comments were huge and really helped me a lot. Some of the comments there, specifically one or two of them, really helped me to make my final decision. I know you guys are interested to see what it is, so let's just get into it. Let's open the box. Got my Swiss Army knife right here, which will help me get into this. Let's cut the tape and let's have a look at what we've got. Oh, right. Oh, some decent tape on this box, which is good. You don't want your gear half packed, right? So, whoa, man, I'm excited. Right, here we go. So we have got in this box the Canon. It's a Canon, which probably doesn't surprise you. It is the Canon EOS R, specifically the Canon EOS R kit with the 24-105 f4 lens. Although I'm not going to be using that lens, I'm actually going to be selling that lens on. That is part of my strategy for getting this camera at an awesome price, which I'm pleased to say I did. I know loads of you guys, I can see people screaming right now at the video, Rob, why did a sports photographer buy a Canon EOS R? Well, actually, you know what? That's going to be the topic of a future video. Why did a sports photographer buy a Canon EOS R? That's going to be a detailed video coming up soon. Loads of reasons why, and the very simple answer for you guys right now is that it most suited my needs of what I need from a camera and what I want from a camera at the moment, taking into account everything I photograph, my videos and the amount of videos I'm trying to do right now, and the fact that I do also have a 1DX, which you guys are on right now, and I've still got one of my 7D2s, so I'm pretty much covered as far as like action sports cameras go. Look, let's get this box open, let's have a look, because I genuinely haven't looked in here yet. This is the first time I'm doing it. Wanted to do it with you guys. So what we got? Manual and bits in the top. Normally I'd say, oh, manual, who needs that? But probably I do need that because this is a new camera system to me, so I want to make sure I get it right. A few other bits in the top. Strap, the Canon EOS R strap. Now, I literally am not even going to take that out of the plastic because that will be part of my strategy in the future when I come around to selling this camera, is stuff like this helps you to improve the selling price. You can say brand new strap, literally never even taken out the packaging. For that same reason, I will keep all of this packaging in nice condition. So when I do eventually sell the camera, I can pack it all up in all the original packaging. And again, it helps you to get a better price when you're selling your gear. Charger. So that's what I mean. Even bits of plastic like this, I will keep hold of. What else we got? Battery, which is good. It's the same battery that I use in my 72s, which is handy. We've got a cable for, I guess that's probably for connecting to the PC. We've got the power cable for the charger. Then in the bottom here, in the bottom, right, we've got the lens in there. I'm literally not even going to touch that because I want to better sell that as new. So it's not even going to come out of the packaging. But this is going to come out of the packaging. Let me just put the lens down there carefully. So this will be the actual camera. Oh, I'm like a kid at Christmas. There it is, the Canon EOS R. God, so my first instinct is it's tiny, it's small. You guys are on the 1DX right now, so it's like Yeah, it's like half the size of the 1DX. In fact, my 72 is down here. So that's it in comparison with the 72. It's... Oh, you know what? It's actually a similar size to a 72. It's got... Oh, it definitely got a slimmer profile. But overall, it's not a dissimilar size to the 7D Mark II. It feels different. It doesn't have that like slick coating that the 7D and the 1DX have. It's like a rougher, almost like a gunmetal type of feeling. It's more like a grey rather than black. Controls and stuff look like roughly the same as I'd kind of be used to. Flip out screen, which is a big part of my decision. Absolutely it was. Awesome. And there's going to be some videos on this, right? So my intention will be doing a video on how I set this up when I do decide to use it for photographing sports. Going to see do a whole video on why would a sports photographer buy this camera. Going to talk all about that. So that should be really interesting for you guys, I think. I really hope it will be. I'm sure it will be. Have a quick look. Oh, it's really weird seeing that. There's not like the hole that you get with the DSLR camera under there. Cool. Awesome. Looking forward to playing with this, guys. I know there's loads of customizable buttons on the back and stuff you can get to do different things. Awesome. Going to be good fun having a play with that and getting it set up. So, right, in the meantime, let's move into a Q&A. I'm going to get this stuff all packed up, move into the Q&A and get through some of the questions that you guys asked me. Right, let's get this tidy. Let's go. Done. Right. The funny thing is that the first bit was actually like half an hour ago. You guys probably could tell because I think even the cameras moved and stuff. But anyway, right, let's get into this Q&A. So, now the first questions, we got a few that came from our Facebook group. As I've already said, if you want to find out about the Facebook group, first link in the description, you can find out about it there through the Patreon page. But... So Darren from our Facebook group asked the first questions. Firstly, why did you decide to become a sports photographer? Are there any photographers that inspired you to take it up for yourself? Secondly, would you still want to do sports photography again if you were just starting out today, and is it worth it and the reasons why? So cool, quite a few questions in there, and I will try to kind of answer them sort of all in one or two. I never really decided to be a sports photographer. I just started enjoying photography and taking photos of stuff, and it just kind of happened really. I mean, I'm not just a sports photographer, so it's not like I decided, right, do I want to photograph sports or landscapes or events or portraits or products, or I just kind of started being a photographer. I was taking some photographs of basketball because I played basketball, loved basketball, was fairly good at it, and that just kind of developed, and from there I got asked to do some football and so on and so on and so on. So, you know, look, I still am very much a photographer. I photograph all different things. Others that inspired me, yeah, probably the person who inspired me the most would be my friend Tony, who's a wedding photographer who I learnt loads from, helped me out loads when I first bought my first 7D. So yeah, probably he's an amazing photographer, so yeah, definitely. And then since that point, loads of the big sports photographers have, lots of the NBA photographers have a photo on my wall upstairs, you guys might have seen it, of Kobe Bryant, taken by Andrew Bernstein, one of the best NBA photographers ever. Would I still want to do it if I was starting out again? Yeah, I would, because I love sports photography. A reason why I love it is just the reward you get, right? It's such an adrenaline, you know, much as I would imagine it is for like wedding photographers and stuff like that. But when you get that moment, you know, you sit out there for an hour, sometimes in the rain, and you get that moment, the big goal, you've captured it, the celebration runs towards you, that adrenaline I just love, right? And sometimes I'll come home from a night game, get home at like 11 o'clock, I can't sleep till 2 a.m. because I've still got that adrenaline from doing it. I'm not, you know, I'm not a full-time sports photographer, I do lots of different bits, I've talked about that before. So, you know, if someone was asking, is it worth it in terms of like full-time living, it's tough, right? You're not going to make your millions from it unless maybe you're one of the top guys. But yeah, absolutely, I love including sports as part of the photography work that I do, 100%. Right, what do we got next? Next question came from Hayden in our Facebook group. What crop ratio do you use, both vertical and portrait? Do you ever take personal photos whilst out on a job? Good question, man. So crop ratio really depends quite a lot, right? If I'm maintaining the same crop ratio, then I use the 4x3 that comes out of the camera. I don't really change that at all. I You know, if I'm doing portrait, I tend to stick with that as well. But you know, at the same time, especially when I'm doing live stuff, I tend to freeform a lot of my crops, so they're not necessarily exactly 4:3. Sometimes I go wider, sometimes I do square images. Sometimes with my landscape work, I go a little bit wider, not quite panoramic, but like wider because it works a bit better. So it varies quite a lot. If I'm maintaining a specific aspect ratio, it tends to be the 4:3, especially if I've got, you know, photos straight from camera that I'm not cropping, then that is 4:3. And so if I tend to make it portrait, I tend to do the same thing. Sometimes I do 16:9. Most of what you guys see on here is 16:9, and the reason I do that is specifically so that I can get the photo to work better for YouTube, because the YouTube screen is 16:9, sorry, not 6:9, 16:9. Great question, man. Thank you. Next up, Robert. Oh, Hayden, sorry, man. I missed your... Do you take photos for personal use on a job? Yeah, sometimes. Not so much like the sports photos, because those have to be, you know, the right for those belong to the agency. I use those on like my social media and stuff. They know I do. I credit them. I use their watermarks and stuff on them. Good question. Right, sorry, Robert. What did you say? Since I don't photograph for an agency or news, I've never edited an event. When you submit photos during the event, are you allowed to go back and submit further edits to the same photos, for example, straighten and then okay, cool, right, yeah, get it. So yeah, man, so sometimes I do, like every now and again, if I look at a photo and I think, oh, I could have made that better, then I will do that. Yes, the thing to remember when you're sending live from an event, those photos, when you send them, then go out to like the news outlets and stuff. So there's a fair bit of pressure to get it right first time. If you don't get it right first time, then it does mean that your image that you then feel wasn't right first time is the one that's gone out. So yeah, you do have to think about that. There's a fair bit of pressure to get it right first time. But yeah, you can, if you want to, go back and adjust them afterwards. What you couldn't do is like send them all like half right and then think, oh, it's okay, I can send them later. Because no, those first ones you send are the ones which are going straight out, so there's a fair bit of pressure to get those right. Okay, Marcus from our Facebook group again. Do you ever use flash in sports? When and how? And should a sports photographer have some studio equipment? Great questions, man. Overall, no. I very rarely use flash at sports events. Every now and again I would. Like, I always have one with me generally, but I use it maybe like 1% of the time. I was going to say 5, but probably even that's an exaggeration. Maybe I would use it if I'm doing some like portraits or team photos or something like that away from the field of play or the court. I'd never use flash for action because you could distract players. Some of the top guys in the NBA have strobes in the ceiling that light the court, which is great if you've got the access to be able to do something like that, of course. But generally speaking, you don't get an opportunity to do something like that. Studio equipment. So, I mean, I have some studio equipment, but mostly I have that to film my videos. So right now, for example, I've got a massive light right here. In fact, let me show you guys while I'm talking about it. So let me film a little clip for you right here. So I've got this big old light. So you guys are over here on the 1DX. Up here I've got a massive light which is lighting me just on a fairly regular light stand. I've got my microphone and stuff set up over here. So nothing too nothing too fancy, but at the same time that's just very much there for my videos. I don't tend to do much studio photography work, and I think a regular sports photographer probably wouldn't have much requirement for that, unless of course you intend on doing studio work. So like if you want to do portraits and stuff, then yeah, you probably want some proper lights or strobes, or you could use flashes on light stands. You'd want a white background, all that kind of stuff. So it really depends on what you intend on doing, right? I don't, kind of say to people, hey, yeah, come and do sports portraits at my house or my studio, because I don't have a studio. I don't have the gear to do that. So it really depends on what you want to try and do, right? Right, next question. Steve, again in the Facebook group, do picture agencies stipulate what equipment they expect you to have, i.e. pro bodies, prime fast lenses, etc.? Good question. Yeah, they kind of do. So most of them would ask you what kind of gear you've got if you go to try and work for them, as well as, of course, look at your photos. The main reason they'll do that, they'll be looking for a few things. They'll need to know that you've got a camera body that's capable of doing the job. They're not necessarily going to be saying you have to have a 1DX Mark III, but they'll want to check that you've got a camera that they think, oh yeah, that camera could do the job. They're going to want to know that you've got at least 2 cameras, so you've got a backup if something goes wrong, and they're going to want to make sure that you've got lenses to be able to do the job. So like an agency for football would expect you to have at least a 300 2.8, because they know that's kind of the minimum you would need to be able to successfully shoot football, and they'd probably expect you to have a 70 to 200 2.8 as well. When I first worked for an agency shooting football, I didn't have a prime. I actually had the Sigma, I think I had the Sigma 120 to 300 2.8 Sport at the time. That's for an agency. When I first started photographing football, I had way lesser lenses than that, but that was the first one I used with an agency. But some will, and the agency I work with now, for example, would want me to have a prime 300mm 2.8, ideally a 400, but I've got a 300. Good question, Steve. Right, JB Photography, so we're moving into a Twitter question now. How long do you keep your photos archived after they're used? Do you keep them all? Good question, man. Yeah, basically I keep them all, and I aim to keep them forever. I've got quite an extensive backup archiving process, which I'm going to do a video on that at some point soon. When we say keep them all though, I don't necessarily keep all the photos I shoot. So at a big event I might shoot 1,000 photos, but then I'll create a set of like 100 photos. I will keep all of that set, but I don't keep all those rejected photos. I might keep a few if I think they've got some potential for something, but generally if I feel like they had potential for something, I'll probably keep them in that set, and they all get backed up and archived. If I was shooting like an event or something, then I probably would keep all the photos I shoot, just in case someone comes back and asks me for something specific, and then at least I can hope that maybe I might have something there in the archive that was of use. Good question, and good question. Right, we're moving into Instagram questions now. Canon 1DX Mark 1 or Mark 2 as a replacement for a 7D Mark 2? Good question. I suppose, look, it really depends on your budget, right? If you've got the budget for the Mark 2, get the Mark 2. If you've got the budget for the Mark 3, get the Mark 3. But the Mark 1 is great, and if you were looking for a camera where you can use your 7D Mark II and you want to step up, the 1DX Mark 1 is great. There's no way that you would use a 7D II, then a 1DX, and not have a feeling of like, whoa, this is like way better. You definitely would. It's a great camera. So if that's your budget, get the Mark 1. If your budget stretches to a Mark II, great, get the Mark II, because yeah, it's a better camera, but the 1D Mark 1 is awesome, right? You're not going to go wrong with it. I have a Mark 1. I recently, as you guys know, decided not to buy a Mark II for various reasons, but my Mark 1 is perfectly good enough for now. Next question from Instagram. Best goal you've ever photographed? Oh, good question. I suppose it depends really kind of what we mean. I mean, like, yeah, I could pick like an England Harry Kane goal or something like that. I think I've photographed Harry Kane scoring for England. I'm actually not sure. I think I have. Anyway, for me, there's one I can think of. It was a Fulham game. It was very late on. I think the game was like 0-0 or 1-1, something like that. And it was a late goal. It might have even been sort of injury time. And Alexander Mitrovic scored a goal, and I got it, and he ran straight towards me. I was one of only a couple of photographers in my corner. Got some great shots. I was so pleased with them. I remember that really well. So for me, probably that was the best goal I've ever photographed. Right, what we got next from Instagram. Have you ever shot a game where you got no good pictures? If so, what did you learn from it? Maybe not where you got no good pictures, because I guess a good picture could just be an action shot that's sharp and the exposure's right, but what you certainly get a lot of is events or games where you get nothing going on. You get unlucky. You know, it's a 0-0. All of the action was in other areas of the pitch, not in front of you. And you get to the end of a game and you've got like 20 photos and you're struggling. You think, God, I'm having to dig through my warm-up photos and add a few of those. And, you know, generally speaking, what do you learn from it? I always follow the same process, right? I make sure I've got a few warm-up shots. I've got something wider at the stadium. Got a couple of manager photos and stuff like that. And yes, sometimes you get to the end of a game and you've hardly got any good photos. And it is hard. It's rubbish, but you just have to follow the same process, and hopefully you get enough action shots. You've got a decent set. Sometimes with no action, you're struggling, right? You come away with a set of like 30 something images. That happens sometimes, absolutely. Sometimes with no effort at all, call you've got 100 images because there was loads of action, it was all in your corner of the pitch and you're laughing. So I think you just have to dust yourself down, you go again, and look, it won't happen every time. Okay, and I think that pretty much rounds off our video. I'm sorry if I didn't get to your question, guys. You know, I want to try and cover as many as I can, but at the same time I don't want to make these videos too long because otherwise no one watches more than like 5-10 minutes worth. Thank you very much for submitting your questions. We'll do more like these. I'm going to do another live stream Q&A at some point fairly soon as well, so that'd be really good. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please do take a second, go hit that like button for me because it helps me out massively. Make sure you comment below and let me know what you think of the camera choice, right? I know loads of people are going to be confused by that. I'm going to do a video all about why I, a sports photographer, bought an EOS R, coming up real soon. It'll be within the next couple of videos, and I'm going to do loads of videos about it, right? And that's part of why I bought it. I want to do videos about how I'm setting it up for sports. I want to do videos about why a sports photographer would buy it. I want to do some videos where I really test it and probably shoot some sports and see what kind of results we get. People have tried it here and there, but I don't think there is many people on YouTube who full on like used it properly for sports for a period of time. So I'm going to try and be that guy and we'll see how it goes. It'll be interesting to see. Guys, in the meantime, thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video and I will see you on the next video.